Wednesday afternoon. It's 3:27 my way. I had to leave early from work today because I had to down a little bit of water before I drive off. It was a very busy day, very chaotic, and I had to get things done in such a short time frame. And then as soon as I left work, I had to come all the way down here to just see the doctor. Another injection, as you can see, they put a Band-Aid over it. And I had to do a skin cancer check on me. So everything seems to be okay right now. So that's good. But very weird. Oh gosh. I know I've mentioned before about this chick that's at the dermatology office. She's very, very strange. But it just, if it doesn't get any weirder than this, I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. I'm trying to fill her out to figure out what it is about her. I don't know. She's weird. But maybe she's just a crazy like me, but just a bit slightly more crazy. I don't know. But I came in and she says, "Hey, what happened to you? You didn't show last time." And the last time I made an appointment, I made it for certain. Oh my gosh! Oh boy, this damn thing is doing it again. Oh, I'm gonna have to fix this darn thing. It's a pain in the butt. Let me see. I gotta figure out how to do this. Give me a second. This thing was a ripoff. I said I was going to get a new phone holder, and I still haven't done it yet. That's because I've been so busy. I just forget things sometimes. But let me see if I can fix this darn thing. In the meantime, I'll sit here and I'll talk about the visit. I just move this around like this. Stupid phone holder. I don't know why it's like this, but it just is. I don't know, maybe I should put it here. Let's see. Maybe it's better here. And just push it in like this. Maybe I could do it like this where it's more further and deeper. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. It just doesn't work the way you want it to, Okay. Let's see what happens when I mess with this thing here. All right, I have it straight forward right here. Oh, boy. I don't know how it's going to be like, but there it goes. Okay, hopefully it stays in. I don't know if it's going to. Let's push it down a little bit on here. This is a really bad, one of the worst phone holders I've ever had. Ever. Let's see, I'm going to push this down a bit. Pain in the booty. Move this down like this. I hope it sits up. I don't know if it's going to, but we'll see. Pain in the butt. Okay, maybe that's better, Maybe that's a little better, the angle here that we got it at. I just don't want it to touch this part of my, where the windshield wipers are at. It's not raining though, it's nice and sunny out, so that's good. So, yeah, so today was a very, very nutty day. And the lady, she was asking me some strange stuff, like she I came in there and I told her, yeah, I had a miss appointment, and she said to me, she says, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Yeah, we wonder what happened to you." And I said, "Yeah, I guess I must have forgotten the date, or the day got mixed up or something like that." And she started going on out of nowhere about her traveling again. And I said, "Oh, okay, that's great." She started showing me pictures, and I said, "Okay, that's nice and stuff. So what you and your husband do?" And I said, "My husband is not, he's very introverted. He doesn't really like to travel. He doesn't like a lot of people, you know. He doesn't like to do those things." Because see, the last time I came, I already mentioned a story about what happened, where she was like asking me questions like, about, do I like to travel? And she said, "What about your man?" And I said, "Oh, I don't, my man, he doesn't really like to travel like that." And she says, "Oh, well, then we wouldn't work out then." And I'm like thinking in my head, like, well, what does she mean that we wouldn't work out? Like, I don't know her like that, you know. I mean, I don't know if she's trying to like, try to get close to me for whatever reason. I don't know what her agenda was. So she said to me that her man likes to dig other chicks, right? She came out of nowhere and said that the last visit, and I'm like, that's weird. Why is she telling me that? Why she got to let me know that her man likes to dig other chicks? I'm like, okay. And I just said, like, all right. That's kind of strange. And I'm sitting there waiting for the dermatologist to come so she can, give me another needle on my keloid. So she asks me, she says, you ever go to Baltimore? And I said, I travel sometimes. I was trying to play it off like, I didn't want her to know that I was uncomfortable. I just kind of played it off and just kept my cool. And she was asking where I live. And I'm like, well, why is she asking where I live? Because, obviously where I live, you could see that inside of the system, because I'm a patient there. So she says, yeah, you ever go to Baltimore? We go there all the time, me and my man. I said, oh, that's nice. Well, you guys enjoy. She says, well, there's a club called Secret. She says, oh, it's a really nice club. It's called Secret. And I'm like, Secret? I was like, what kind of secrets are going on in that club? I was like, what makes me wonder, like what kind of secrets are going on that I need to know about? You first tell me your man digs on the chicks, and then you're saying like, does my man like to go out and do things? And it made me start making me thinking that she's either a swinger or she likes women and men or something. I don't know, but it had me thinking all sorts of stuff in my mind. I just, oh God. So then today, I come there waiting in the waiting room, and we mentioned about the appointment being missed last time, and, she collects my copay. We go down this way. And she says to me, she starts showing me all like the pictures of her man going out. I said, oh, that's nice. Well, you guys enjoy. You guys have a good time, things like that. And she was like persistent to ask the same question. Does my man like to do things? I said, oh, he's introverted. He doesn't like to really go out like that. He doesn't really want to, he doesn't really like people like that, because he really doesn't. Like, he likes to sit in. He's a homebody, my husband. He'd go out every once in a while together. He says, so who do you go out with? And I said, oh, I'm a family person. I like to go out with my family and, be with my sister and the kids. Work a lot because I do. I ain't lying about that, But I don't want to be hanging out with her though, and she was trying to like, show me all these pictures, and I'm like, oh boy, why is she showing me all these pictures of her and her man, where they go, and yeah, it's nice, you should go here and stuff. I said, yeah, it's nice and stuff. So I was trying to get off the topic of her and her man, because I didn't want to like go into questions about me and my man too much, and so then I just said, she's like, how's your day going? I said, oh, it's been very busy. It's a very stressful day, and I said I had a lot going on, and I said, I think when I come home I may have a glass of wine or something when I come back. And she says, oh wow, really, you're going to be cooking? I said, probably so. I said, she's like, so what do you cook? And I said, she was asking me like things that I cook, and I went into them, and I mentioned about the salmon I made. I was like, okay, we're getting off the topic of men and all what I do and personal stuff. So I just started talking about food, thinking I would steer her away from some things, but that didn't work. I said, I made some salmon yesterday. I said, this salmon was so good. I used my grill, and, I'm sitting there waiting for the dermatologist. I was like, where's she at? And I was like, I put avocado on the salmon. Said, oh, what'd you season it with? I said, oh, I seasoned it with, black pepper and, garlic, and, I put like light salt. And I always put like a butter to finish it up. So, I'm trying to get off the topic of men and these weird, this weird stuff that she's bringing up to me. The vibe was just weird. And as soon as I said, your husband ate it too? And I said, no, my husband, he doesn't like salmon. Really? He don't like salmon? I said, no, he don't like salmon like that. He's not a salmon person, but I like salmon. So he can eat it down there, that fish down there, but he can't eat salmon. I couldn't believe she said that to me. I said, what did you just say? I just said, no. No. We don't do that. He says, oh, so you guys don't have sex? And I said, I looked at her like this, that's, like I'm trying to tell her nothing. I ain't gonna answer that. It's like very personal. Like, what the hell was she thinking telling me that in the medical office? Oh my God, she's worse than a man. I would think a man would be sexually harassing you like that, not a woman. Like she was like, I couldn't believe she said that. She's like, so your man can eat the fish down there, but he can't eat the fish that you cook. And I said, what the hell? First of all, if a woman is that was just the weirdest thing. I said, oh my gosh. I was, and that the doctor came out like a minute or so after that. I was so happy. I was like, yes. Well, you go help you have a good visit, honey. And I said, all right. And I walked in the room. I had to get skin cancer check. I said, I'm so glad I'm out of there. I don't need this woman bothering me. Oh no. I knew something was wrong. And I said, she was giving me some like that lesbian vibe type of thing, And I don't know, I'm like, why did she say that to me? So then when I left, I was trying to get out of there. I said, oh man, I got to make an appointment. And last time I came on, I mentioned I wanted to change my doctor because she was so weird. She was giving me weird vibes, because I've had female friends that have actually wanted to get a little closer than what they were supposed to, in the past. And unfortunately, I've had my experiences in the past. I was younger, before I ever got married, but never again. She just, I was like trying to get out of here. I said, okay, well, the doctor wants me to come back in another, in another month and a half from now. She says, okay, that she hold up, right? So there's a guy trying to check in. She says, oh, honey, you're not finished swiping the stuff over. She's telling he didn't finish filling out his forms. He goes, sit back down, standing like, hurry up and check me out. So she didn't want me to check me out so fast. She kept talking to me. And I was like, oh, darn it. She's like, yeah, there's some more places I want to show you about me and my man. And so we go here and she was showing me. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Well, you guys enjoy. So you guys, what else you guys do together? And I'm like, what the hell? I said, this lady is wackadoodle. I don't know. I don't know if she just finds it entertaining or there's something really wrong with her. But I was like, oh my gosh. I love the doctor here because she's so good and she's done a wonderful job on the keloid and she's, but if this lady just keeps on with this craziness, I don't know. I may go and switch somewhere else. I said, if I didn't think it was going to get any worse, I didn't think she was going to have the balls to say that to me. I just, so I said, okay, well, so the guy next to me, I could tell he was getting a little impatient because she kept talking to me. And, she's not paying attention to him. So then I see him getting up and putting stuff down. I said, good, get her to move along. So she said, all right, I got something for Wednesday. I said, yeah, give me a time. We'll do later in the day because I wanted to do 9:45. And for some reason, she was like, well, you could do 4:15 at the end of the day. You could be the last patient. I'm like, oh, no, here we go. Like, why did she got to put me at 4:15? I don't know. I think it's because she knows that if I'm the last patient, I check out. She don't have to check no one else in. I like, why? I'm not that kind of person. I'm not freaky like that. I'm not a sex fiend or whatever she's thinking about me. I'm not like that, I'm sorry, but I may joke around about sex and make fun of it, but deep down, I'm not a how do you put this? I have a very imaginative mind, but I'm not a sex fiend person. I'm not like a person that's like intrigued about having all this like sex and like this big sex life. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. I don't know. Oh boy, I just could not believe that. And then she says, eat the fish down. And first of all, if a person, and I'm just going to make this clear. If you're a woman, and this just got me thinking, I'm like, please don't tell me you think it's normal for a woman to have a fishy smell down there. Because that's not normal. First of all, if you're a woman and you have a fishy smell down in your privates, there's something wrong, okay? You got a yeast infection or you got BV or something going on, and you got an infection. You need to get checked. because you shouldn't be smelling fishy down there. That's not normal. So when she said that, that's another thing that ran through my mind. I said, oh gosh, not only is she asking me some sexual questions, you know, but also like flying sexual things to me, but also she thinks it's normal to smell fishy down there. What the hell's wrong with her? Oh my goodness. I said, she don't think that's normal, does she? I'm like, oh my gosh, how many women are walking around with fishy ones, you know, stinky ones that think it's normal, you know? And it gets me thinking, because I know I was watching this video on YouTube. There was a lady, there was a couple of wax parlor people, and they were mentioning how there are women that come into the wax parlor. They're nasty. They stinking down there. They got men's semen coming out of them as they come there. I said, what? I'm like reading this, and they get mad if you don't want to work and service them. I'm sorry, but I would be embarrassed as a woman, as a female. I would be embarrassed, let alone just with myself being in a bathroom smelling like that and someone sniffing me. I wouldn't even go to a gynecologist while being clean. You know, I don't know how somebody will go some places like that and smell like that and be okay with it. I just don't understand. You know, I get that, okay, you know, us as women, we do have problems down there sometimes. Things happen, but like, you know, take care of the problem. Don't sit there and go to a wax parlor place or a gynecologist doctor's appointment and stank down there and don't take care of yourself, and then you don't bathe, and then they're sitting there telling you smell bad, you got an infection, and you're mad at them. Like, something's wrong with that. I'm sorry, but like, I would be embarrassed. There are women who literally would go with a man, they'll take some spray and spray themselves, and they got fishy odor down there, don't take care of themselves, and they're not ashamed. I'm like, I'd be embarrassed. That's nasty. Ew. So when she told me that just run into my head. I'm like, ew. Like, first of all, even if I did smell fishy, and you know, let's say, you know, I smell pretty natural, you know, I have no infections there. But even if I smell good, I still don't want a man doing that to me, my husband. Like, I don't know. That's just not my thing. You know, everybody has their own thing. No judgment on anybody else. You know, everybody has different things they like to do with their significant other in bed. That's just not for me. You know, I don't like that. You know, that's weird. You know, I don't know. I just find it weird, like the idea of somebody, you know, putting tongue all in, ew. You know, and then you got to wonder, they got food particles in there, and then you're going to definitely get infection because, you know, their tongue is probably dirty, and then they're sticking their tongue in there, and you know, next thing you got bacteria in there is going to mess up your floor. I don't think so. That's not for me. So when she said that to me, I'm like, I didn't want to have to go into explanation of that because that's personal, but I just kind of like, what are you? I was like, no. It's like, so you and your man don't have sex? I said, what is she trying to get? She is implying all these things. I'm like, whether we do or not, that's not anybody's business. I mean, you know, that's not something we should talk about in the medical field, you know, inside of a doctor's office. I could not, I'm still shocked. I mean, I could see if you were my best friend, I mean, my good friend of years making jokes with me and making up jokes like this, and we had a topic on something like this. But I don't know you, you don't know me, and we're in a medical place having an appointment to see the dermatologist, and you tell me, oh, so your man can't eat your fish down there, but not the one on the grill. I said, first of all, I mean, I wanted to tell her, but I said nah, because I don't want her to feel like fishing for information on me. But first of all, how could you say that my man eats me when I've never implied that? Because number one, he doesn't. You know, I just don't like things like that. That's the truth. And even if I did do something like that, you know, that's personal business. You know, that's very personal. I ain't going into that, but it's not my thing. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know. It was just weird. It was like she was trying to get me to answer to her, and she was trying to fish for information to see like what kind of person I was. And let's say if I said, oh yeah, girl, you know, she does like those things, she's gonna say, oh really, he does like to eat it down there. And she'll probably start thinking some freaky thoughts. you know? But the truth is, I'm not into those things. That's just not my thing. But I didn't tell her that. I just said, you know what I said to her? I just, it's not, oh, we don't know, no. And I just said, not, no. Then she's like, so you guys don't have sex? I said, no. I said, you know what I replied to her? I said, let's just say this. I said, we're just very weird people. And that's exactly what I said to her. I just said, we're very weird people. That's all I said to her, because we are weird people. But, I mean, but on the flip note, it's really none of your business. Me and my husband could go 10 years without having sex. That's not anybody's business, So the dermatologist came out of the room, and she came and she said, hey, Candace. I said, okay. And then that's when she was just like, okay, nice talking to you, honey. And I just like went into the room and said, oh my gosh, can't they just like have another receptionist? I'm like, what the hell? I love the doctor so much, but I'm like, damn, every time I go to check in, she's got to be there. She's weird, Very weird. I mean, I thought I was weird. Damn. Like, my goodness. Oh, gosh. Oh, my goodness. I cannot believe she, said that to me, especially about all places in the doctor's office at her job. Oh my gosh. And see, I don't want her getting the wrong impression, And the thing is, I walked in like how I am. I'm not like checking her out. I'm not. And then that's what happened too. When I was checking out, she kept trying to hold me up. And that patient, he was like sitting on the side trying to get her attention because he wanted to hurry up and get his forms, processed. I know she pulled out a picture of her like with the shorts on. She has shorts on, and she says, look at me. And she looked very built. And I said, wow, you look very, you work out. I said, yeah, I don't go to the gym. I look like this. You can't tell I have 4 kids. I said, no, I can't. I said, no, I cannot. And she was like, I was like, yeah. So about that appointment, I was trying to get her to make the appointment. She kept showing me the picture of her in the shorts and that tank top. She was, she is built. Like, she is very built. I don't know if she's Puerto Rican or she's some kind of Spanish culture. I just don't know which one. I don't know if she's Dominican or she looks either Dominican or Puerto Rican. It's got to be one of them two. So I highly doubt she's Ecuadorian. She don't look it. She doesn't have the look. An Argentinian look, no. She definitely looks like Puerto Rican or Spanish, not Mexican at all. She's got to be either Dominican or Puerto Rican. That's the only things I could see in her right now. She is wild. Oh my goodness, this lady's wild. I mean, oh my gosh. Oh man, she's trying to show off her body to me, and I'm like, oh well, you look built, you look nice. Says, yeah, this is me or whatever. Says, I'm very built, am I? I said, yeah, I see, yeah. And the guy, you could see he was getting patient. I was kind of glad that he was, because I'm like, I want to go, And so then she went and she put an appointment for Wednesday in 6 weeks. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I just call and change that appointment for a different, like a morning appointment, so that way she don't talk to me? Because see, I mean, she talked to me, but see, when I checked in, there was nobody standing there. It was just me and her. I'm like, why every time I come in, it's always like no one around. It's just me and her. I'm like, I want people to be around so she can't say these things to me. And I'm not trying to, I'm not out to make, I'm not out to harm anybody. I'm not out to make anyone lose their jobs or anything. I'm not that kind of person. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't do anything to like make someone lose their job. You get me? I know she has 4 kids and she got a man. Maybe her man is not attentive or something, and she likes both men and women, or she needs some type of attention. So maybe she needs a woman now in bed. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I mean, I'm sorry, just don't roll that way. I think she was trying to see how freaked I was. She mentioned about the fish thing. She wanted to see my response, whether I was going to be like, yeah, I like that. Doesn't that feel good? Because then she'll be like, oh, she likes tongue. Ooh, that means maybe she'll give a woman a chance. Maybe she'll like a woman to do it to her. I'm like, no, no. 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 Oh, no. No. I don't think so. Okay, I've had my experiences in the past. I was peer pressured to certain things when I was younger. with one friend of mine's. And I was not happy with myself. I was very, I felt guilty. I said, never again. So never again. No. Oh boy, and that's before I ever got married. I was young and stupid, and I didn't say no. I had a hard time saying no to things. But now I'm more assertive, and I know how to tell people no now. I don't want to do something, And I don't want her to think that me or my husband are people who like to travel a lot, because she was like, oh, do you travel? And I said, I do sometimes, but I'm very busy. Most of the time I travel with family. That's exactly what I said to her. I just kept saying my family, because I do. I don't travel alone, and I don't travel with strangers and people I don't know, I mean, whatever that club secret she go to, I have a feeling there's some freaky stuff going on in there. And just talking about check it out. I'm not going there. She's crazy. Then she went on to say, well, that's why you're not pregnant yet. That's why you haven't had a baby yet, because you're not doing it. You're not doing stuff in that bedroom. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how does she know what goes on in my room? Like, I'm like, how does she know how many times I'm having sex? It was like she was trying to imply things to get me to respond, and I just refused. That's why I ain't saying nothing to her, So, well, let me just say this. Now that I'm on here, I can't tell you too much about, that's personal stuff. I can't say that. But what I can say is that me and my husband are not like, in our current years, we don't really, it's not something that's really priority. You get what I'm trying to say? Like those kind of things. Like we don't think about those things a lot, But, we're just very weird people. Like I told her, we're weird people. But it's just strange that she just brought that out of nowhere, trying to get me to like respond because she wanted to see if I was a freaky chick or something. A freak under the sheets. I'm a freak up here, but I ain't a freak outwardly. If that makes any sense. There you go. I have a very crazy imagination, but when it comes to reality, that's a whole nother ball game. I'm not so much into. I mean, not that I've never tried anything. I have, but it's not my thing. You get what I'm trying to say? Like freaky stuff like that. I remember one time I tried to give the ball gag a try one time back then, a few times, but it wasn't, it never fit in my mouth, and wasn't like something that I was like, crazy about. I would make jokes about it. I remember going on live streams making jokes about the ball gag, but it was never like something I was crazy about, if that makes sense. It's just something I gave a try to when I was younger, my younger years, but not something that I really desire to do. You know what I mean? Like on an everyday basis. Like I always gave something to try, and if I didn't like it, I said. That's why, when she said that to me, I didn't really give her too much answer. I just said, it's not my thing. That's all I said. I didn't want to tell her, if I ever done that before. I didn't want to tell her how many times I'm having sex with my husband, because that's, number one, like I said, that's personal. And, even if I did have a very active sex life and I was having sex like twice a week, I wouldn't want to tell her that, because I wouldn't want to give her the wrong impression that I'm be open to doing that with anybody else, But that's the truth. We're not people that, we're not people that really put that as a priority in our life, And that's really the truth, We can sit here and joke around about sex. We can laugh. We can have a very freaky mind, freaky thoughts run through our head, but we're not people that always put things to play, if that makes sense. Yeah. Weird people. So that was something else. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in a professional place. It just, oh my gosh. I hope she ain't smelling fishy around her man. That's what I felt like saying to her. I said, fishy, I hope you're not smelling like that around your man. That's not good. You need to go to the doctors if that's the case, Oh boy. Other than that, I'm driving all the way out to my mom's. I'm far away from home right now. I won't be back home till like another hour. most likely, because once I get in, there's a lot of traffic. So I'm going to go see my mom since it's still early. And then I will have a whole hour drive back afterwards. And then when I get home, I should be home about like maybe 7 o'clock. I'll put dinner on for my husband, and there's supposed to be someone that's supposed to have a birthday backstage. I have to see if this still on, because if so, I would like to make it, and hopefully it'll be early so that way I can, get at least an hour or two in to, celebrate their birthday. And then I will have to go to bed by 11 because I'm on a schedule now. I don't like to stay up too late anymore, because I'm not gonna lie, getting my sleep and rest, I feel so much more. I feel a lot better, energized, and I feel more awake and more refreshed. There's nothing like getting your sleep, and getting your full 6 to 8 hours. My body loves 6.5 hours. So when I go to sleep and I get like 6.5 hours is just perfect. And I just wake up like, oh, I feel good. I feel refreshed. When I don't get my sleep, I just can't function very well. Like some people are good at that. I'm not. Like I'm just like drained. I'm like, and I get a little, moody. So I gotta get my sleep. So I hope the person, if they do it, maybe they'll start around 8, no later than 9, because like I said, I gotta be to bed by at least 11. So I'll be at my mom's in about 7 minutes here, and then I'm gonna get off of here right now. But I figure I go into the day, kind of tell you what's on my mind. I mean, that was something. That was crazy. I've never had somebody at a medical professional office. Like I said, I would think a man would do that to me before a woman, and I have a woman talking to me like that. I'm like, oh gosh, oh man, oh boy, I don't know. Oh gosh. Oh boy, I got a story for my mother to tell. She's gonna probably say that's sexual harassment. She shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, I know, but hey, I mean, I don't want to get her in trouble or in a job. I'm not trying to do that to her. I mean, the only time I would go that far is if they start touching me now. You know what I mean? And harassing my phone and calling me and texting. Then that's when I would have to get people, police involved. But take care, everybody. God bless. Bye bye.